Welcome. You're listening to Hakeem Alexander. This is called Deception, Extraction, Inception. Playing the role of the lucid dreamer. Some years ago, on my website, hypnoathletics.com, I published a blog with an almost identical name. Deception, Extraction, Inception. It didn't have the part about playing the role of the lucid dreamer. And as I was unsuccessfully attempting to fall asleep here in Hangzhou, China at 4:50 in the morning, I started thinking about some ideas to present to help with it sounds so stupid to say the awakening. Anyway, really it's just me waking up more and more. I'm a guinea pig. There was a movie some years ago with a very famous actor Leonardo DiCaprio that many people know about called Inception. And in the movie Inception, the idea that they played up very much was the idea that an inception was a very difficult thing to do. And that it was easier to carry out a procedure called an extraction. So an extraction is where they had a shared dreaming experience with someone who was their target, and they would use different tricks to get the person to tell them, for example, the location of certain documents or the combination to a safe, so that they could extract or take out or remove the information from the person's mind through the shared dreaming experience. And what was portrayed as being the more difficult process, the more difficult procedure was an inception, which was to place information into the person's mind. Now, at the time when I wrote it, I had the idea that it was much more difficult to do the opposite, to extract the information from the person's mind, than it was to actually put the information in the person's mind. So, in my opinion, the movie had it backwards. Whereas I felt that the extraction was more difficult, taking the information out of the person's mind, and the inception was easier, putting the information into a person's mind. And maybe I was biased, and still am because of my professional training as a clinical hypnotist. But here's how it plays out. Here's a very easy way to understand what my perspective was at the time. I likened the extraction process to be similar to if you were to connect some different technology, equipment, devices, detection devices like MRIs or galvanic skin response or resistance devices, or things similar to the lie detectors and things like that. And to be able to use these devices, different types of scans, to be able to basically be the same thing as, imagine, well, let's use an even simpler example that we can demonstrate both ways. I looked at an extraction as if you were to connect different electrodes to a person's body in different places, maybe around their skull, and then that would be hooked up to a screen, like a movie screen, and then you would be able to see the person's thoughts projected onto that screen or transmitted to that screen. as if their brain were software, or like a disk, like an SD card or some other storage device, and you were simply in real time, or like a camera was looking at something in their mind, and it was simply transmitting the information to the screen. And so in my understanding, that was actually really difficult, and is really difficult, to be able to read someone's mind by hooking them up to a device and projecting their thoughts onto a screen so that you'd be able to read their mind. And in the movie, it portrayed that not as being easy, but being easier than the movie's namesake, which was Inception. And the Inception is the reverse of that, is having someone sit in front of a movie screen and having information played in front of them, and then that getting into their mind. See, the Inception, the whole idea was to have ideas put into a person's mind and have them believe that the ideas were their own, so that then they would perhaps take some action that would be favorable to the people who carried out the inception. But from my understanding, that's actually easier because it's done all the time. This is actually how people operate in the world all the time, and is one of the reasons why different modalities, like for example hypnosis, was accepted as a valid practice in the medical and dental industries and professions since 1958 due to the work of Milton Erickson. They were accepted by the American Medical Association and the American Dental Association, but hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, hypnotherapy, things like that are still looked upon as some type of parlor trick. And people say things like, I don't believe in hypnosis, as if it's some type of religion or some type of faith-based ideal that you have to believe in order for it to work. And you hear things bandied about where they say that people cannot be hypnotized to do things against their core beliefs and desires, who the person truly is, and that's not true. And in fact, I published several blogs and articles saying that the most dangerous thing about hypnosis, or that the biggest secret in hypnosis, is the biggest lie, sort of like that saying that says, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. Well, the biggest secret about hypnosis, the biggest lie about hypnosis, is that people cannot be hypnotized against their will or without them knowing, and this is just not true. It happens to people all the time, and there are several cases which have been tried and proven over and over again that show in fact that people can. You can even look at an entertainer like Darren Brown from England, who is a professional hypnotist who has repeated several historical hypnosis processes and shown that they can actually be true. In fact, he hypnotized someone to assassinate an actor on stage in front of people, and this person who he hypnotized to do it didn't remember carrying out the assassination. Now, although the gun that was used by the person didn't have real bullets, the person actually carried out an assassination in front of people and didn't know that they were doing it. He also repeated the Stanley Milgram experiments in showing that people will follow and carry out orders given by authority because, as I learned in the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, there are 3 hypnotic modalities, and the first one is called one-upsmanship, or authority. People blindly accept the instructions, suggestions, and orders and commands of authority simply because of what they believe about authority, and that's an archetype-based behavioral change in people. But the whole idea that people cannot be hypnotized against their will or against their core beliefs and values is total garbage. It happens to people all the time, and that's one of the biggest secrets. It's sort of like if you are not expecting something to happen, then why would you even bother to look out for it? It's very disarming. It's very disarming. You cannot defend yourself against something that you don't think that you need to defend yourself against. There's so much time spent discrediting all things that have to do with hypnosis and hypnotherapy because so many people don't want to believe that their minds can be controlled or that their minds are being controlled. And the truth of the matter is that once you know how easily programmable you are, you understand that you can easily program yourself. You can easily program your own defense mechanisms and your own behavioral mechanisms and filters so that you get the results that you want. But back to this deception, extraction, inception. Think about it. Is it easier for someone to connect some wires to your head and have your thoughts projected on a screen, or for you to watch a screen and have thoughts being put into your mind? And that's the whole idea why Inception is backwards, the movie that is. Because people look at things and perceive things. We receive information all the time from all around us. The entire world is set up in a certain way so that we are receiving messages from so many different sources that tell us the way that we're supposed to live, who we're supposed to like, the relationships we're supposed to have, that we're supposed to buy diamond rings to get married, that people are supposed to do this and that and wear these clothes, and this is what is cool, and this is what is fun, and this is what kind of money you're supposed to have, and blah, blah, blah. And all that information is being fed into us, like the music coming out of speakers on the radio, like the movies that you watch on the screens of the television, the computer, or in the theater. The advertisements on the billboards everywhere around you. It's information, message units bombarding you 24 hours a day, all the time. That's inception, and that is the easier thing to do. It's done all the time. But when you convince people that it's more difficult to do that, they're not on guard for it. When you're convinced that it takes some special procedure and all kinds of extra additional techniques and methods to do it, people's guard gets let down. And maybe that's the whole trick. Maybe that's why this whole sophisticated system is set up, so that everybody's guard is down, so that they are more easily incepted. But on the flip side of that, of course, yes, we can read people's minds in a lot of ways. One of the main ways being is watching people's behavior. You can tell a lot of the things that people believe by the way that they behave. You can tell the things that people believe and that they're allowing into their minds by the things that they do. You can see by the accomplishments that they have. Not the accomplishments that other people expect of them, but I mean people truly being happy. You can see it. There are people who are making millions of dollars a year and are suicidal. There are people who are poor and who are suicidal. And there are people who are making millions and billions of dollars a year and are very happy. And there are people who are considered poor in this world also who are very happy. And everything in between, there are happy and sad people. And that's the reality. Your happiness, your comfortability with yourself, your self-awareness, your knowing of yourself, that's what's important. Not all the stuff that you have, all the things that people will have you believe. That's inception. Inception is happening all the time. Even what I'm doing is a form of inception. And I've never, ever been shy about saying that. I tell people all the time, we are naturally hypnotized by 25% of the people that we come into contact with. That means that out of every 100 people that ever see any messages that I put out, 25 of them automatically have it alter their life in some significant way and believe what I'm saying. And because I have training, I can increase that percentage. There's no secret about that. That's what everybody's doing all the time. Just not everybody wants to admit it, and no one wants to admit how easily programmable they are, because that means that we would have to take responsibility for the programming. It means that people will have to take responsibility for the programming and start programming themselves for the things that they really want, because people really want to be happy. People really want to be healthy. Happiness and health are the true wealth. And the other thing I was thinking about was that I'm playing the role of a lucid dreamer. See, one of the things that was happening is that I was going to start this conversation, if you will, and relate how the movie Inception really stuck out to me a lot because of how I'm a lucid dreamer. But you see, that statement in there, to me, just became very false. I'm a lucid dreamer. I'm a musician. I'm a clinical hypnotist. I'm a martial artist. I'm a haiku poet. I'm a speaker. I'm a consultant. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a blogger. I'm a marketer. Like, the fuck? I'm all these things? No. I'm playing the role. That's what everybody's doing. We're playing roles. Just like that thing that's attributed to Shakespeare that says all the world's a stage and we are but players merely playing our parts. It's true. But we play many different parts. We're not this or that thing. We're playing the role. We just are. We are. We exist. You could say we're being. We're beings. People say we're human beings. Whatever that means. So we just are. And we're playing roles. And so the thing is that I related to the movie Inception because I often play the role of a lucid dreamer. Just as often as I play the role of a musician, and I play the role of a martial artist, and I play the role of a blogger, I decide to play that role. And that's everything in life. We're playing roles. And just like the actors, the people who play the role of actors, who do that as a profession, that's the thing that we can do to master our lives and master our emotions, is by learning how to play the roles. See, everything requires practice. That's where that saying comes from that says practice makes perfect. I don't know if we'll ever be perfect by practicing something that's outside of ourselves. Maybe we're perfect as we are already. But yes, practice makes us much better at the roles that we want to play. So we rehearse. We go over our lines. We put ourselves into the different stages or onto the different stages in front of the different cameras, the eyes of the people that are all around us. And we play our roles. You want to be successful at something? Learn how to play the damn role. Research. Look at all the different scripts in your profession, in your passion, in your hobby, in your chosen vocation or avocation, and improve yourself in it. Learn how to play the role. Play the role of a lucid dreamer. Play the role and do it well by focusing on what you're doing and being unafraid of it. We're all playing a role. But don't get it twisted. Just remember, there's a lot of nonsense out there, and it's blindsiding you, and it's taking your guard down and making you unaware of what's happening in the world. It is much easier for ideas to be implanted into your mind than it is for others to read your mind. That's why you have to learn the self-defense of understanding how the mind works. It's repetition and association. Things being repeated to us over and over and over again, being associated with certain emotions. That's it. We see messages or hear messages or feel messages over and over and over again and have emotions and other feelings associated with them, pleasure, pain, and that's how it gets past our critical filters. So what you have to understand is this very simple thing that I learned many, many years ago. It's not my own, but I first heard it from a speaker called Jim Rohn. And he said that it's not what happens. It's what you do with what happens. It's not the blowing of the wind. It's the setting of the sails. The same winds blow on us all. It's not what happens. It's what you do with what happens. It's not the blowing of the wind, it's the setting of the sails. One day, I was out at the beach in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, looking out at the ocean, and I saw a sailboat traveling north. One traveling south, one traveling east, and one traveling west. Almost as if to confirm that that conceptual metaphor that I heard was actually true in the physical world for boats as well. It's true. They just all set their sails a different way. One wind was blowing, but they were making their own particular use of the wind, just like we do. The same winds of adversity and the winds of opportunity blow on us all. It's just how are we going to set our sails to catch the wind to send us in whatever direction we're going to go. Are we going to go towards opportunity? Or are we going to go into failure? The same wind blows on us all. And you know, again, the entertainment industry, so many things can teach us lessons. And there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't feel good about themselves. And I'll leave you with this from a few different very popular media offerings that we have out there. One is the movie Batman Begins, interestingly enough, and the other one is the Supernatural TV show. And in the Batman Begins movie, there's a character that says to Bruce Wayne, she's played by Katie Holmes, and she says, Bruce, it's not who you are underneath, it's what you do that defines you. It's not who you are underneath, it's what you do that defines you. And there was a shapeshifter in the Supernatural TV series that said, even monsters can do good in this world.